Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Cloverly Academy. My name is Sophia Wardell, and today we have a very special guest, New York Times best-selling author, Rebecca Zanetti. New York Times, USA Today, Publishers Weekly, Wall Street Journal, and Amazon #1 best-selling author Rebecca Zanetti has published over 90 novels and novellas, which have been translated into several languages with millions of copies sold worldwide. Rebecca is known for writing high-stakes paranormal romance, romantic suspense, and dark thrillers with emotionally complex characters and gripping plots. Her books have received Publishers Weekly, Library Journal, and Kirkus starred reviews, favorable Washington Post and New York Times book reviews, and have been included in Amazon Best Books of the Year. Thanks for joining us today, Rebecca.
You bet. Thanks for having me.
Of course, we're so excited to have you, and today I want to talk all about writing paranormal romance. In specifics, crafting love with fangs, magic, and mystery. So, Rebecca, your heroines are often both fierce and vulnerable. How do you balance supernatural elements with real emotional stakes in your paranormal romances?
I think the villain has to be as strong or even a little bit stronger than the hero. So you create stakes that are realistic in that world. So there has to be a big bad. There has to be a danger. You can't be just, oh, yay, we're all immortal. Life's good. Even vampires can be beheaded. So you up the stakes by upping the danger.
Now, what advice would you give on building believable romantic chemistry between human and paranormal characters like, say, vampires and shapeshifters?
Well, make them hot. I mean, make them sexy, and decide what's is sexy to you. For me, the old time vampires who hated being vampires and were cold and distant and creatures of the night, that wasn't sexy to me. So I created vampires that can go into the sun. They're just another species and they can't turn anybody else into a vampire. And it made them look like Jason Momoa. So it was all good.
Right, you can create your own magic rules sometimes. You're the author.
Absolutely. So create them sexy, and there's no question about the chemistry.
Now, how do you approach world building in a way that supports romance without overwhelming it with lore?
Well, you never want to info dump the lore, so you want to spread it throughout the book. And I think for newer authors or any authors, the easiest way to do this is to have one of the parties be immortal and the other be human. So your reader learns along as the human does. And later on, you find different ways to introduce it by showing it rather than telling it.
Right, that makes sense. Now, have you ever had to tone down a paranormal element to make a love story more relatable to readers?
I haven't. It's a lot easier to pull yourself back than push yourself forward. So I throw everything I have into at least that first draft. And really, if the paranormal element is interesting and adds some intrigue or, thrills, keep it in.
Right. And when you're kind of deciding those things, how do you look at your overall story and all the elements and decide what's too much or when it crosses that line?
I think if you're reading through it and you skip a paragraph or a page or whatever, it's too much. Get rid of it. So that's the easiest way. If you don't want to read it again, it's not interesting to you, so it won't be interesting to others. So go on what you like to read.
That's a good tip. Now, lastly, Rebecca, I just want to close with what are some common pitfalls new authors face when writing paranormal romance, and how can they avoid them?
Okay, so what I've seen in judging contests and stuff, you'll have somebody, a human, who all of a sudden ends up in a paranormal world. And instead of going, oh my gosh, what's happening? They're like, huh, okay, so the trees can fly. You need some realistic expectations. Like, what would you think if you were actually in this totally different world? And it makes it a lot more realistic. Now, some of us who write paranormal, you may see a bird go overhead and think, oh, yeah, it could be a dragon. But most people are going, oh my goodness, what is that? So you just have to make their reactions realistic.
Well, Rebecca, thank you so much. That was wonderful insight on writing paranormal romance.
All right. Well, thank you for having me.
Lastly, where can our listeners find and connect with you?
Oh, I'm online, rebeccazanetti.com, and I'm on TikTok, Facebook, and Instagram under my name. I'm easy to find.
That's all the time we have for today. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in to today's interview with New York Times bestselling author Rebecca Zanetti. Be sure to check out our website for more videos. Wishing you all a fulfilling and successful writing journey.